I'm stood very awkwardly in the middle of a Tesco car park in Perivale, deepest West London. But you can see behind me, this is no ordinary Tesco. It was built in 1933 for Hoover, the vacuum cleaner company, in a very clear Art Deco style. It was listed in 1980 and bought by Tesco in 1989, so it's now an Art Deco Tesco or an Art Tesco. I'll edit that out. And here's what that building looks like from the front. You might recognise it if you've ever driven along the A40. It's built in a striking neo-Egyptian Art Deco style, and as such, it's not exactly what we expect when we think of a factory built in the 1930s. So why does this old vacuum cleaner factory look like this? Well, this neo-Egyptian style was popular in architecture at the time. Following the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, there was an increased Egyptian influence in art and design. It became known as Egyptomania, and other examples from this era include Greater London House in Camden, this former cinema on the Essex Road, and this old cinema in Greater Manchester. The 1930s were a period of interwar prosperity, and there were many American companies looking to expand their businesses into the UK. They needed sites with accessible road links, and so many such factories were built on the main arterial roads into central London, like this one. As such, they wanted prestigious statement buildings which announced their UK arrival to anyone passing by. And crucially, they wanted to attract and retain UK talent. And what better way to do that than to create a modern palace of industry, which sat in stark contrast to the more utilitarian factories that UK workers in that era would have been used to. I have a quote from the guy who built the factory, the Hoover guy. I'll put his name on screen. He said, "A little money spent on the incorporation of some form of decoration, especially colour, is not money wasted. It has a psychological effect on the worker." So that's why it's a lovely, colourful Art Deco factory that is now a lovely, colourful Art Deco Tesco. In its heyday, 1,600 people worked here in what was considered a model factory with regard to worker welfare. Staff facilities included a bowling green and tennis courts. Next door, they also built this canteen for workers. Its architectural style uses more of a nautical theme, and as it was built a bit later, it's in more of a streamline modern than Art Deco style, but it's still pretty complementary to the factory itself. Across the road we found this lovely parade of shops which certainly seems to lean into the Art Deco style as well. Looking at historic photos of the area, I think they were built somewhere around the 1930s. I love the orthogonal geometry and these green contours against a white glazed background. These palm tree motifs are a nice bit of decoration which just finish the buildings off and make them stand out. I also like how they've been echoed by these real palm trees planted just outside the factory. As well as the Tesco, the factory itself has now been converted into apartments. Internally, many of the original Art Deco features have been refurbished and reused, including these light fittings. And I bet you've never seen an Art Deco trolley shelter before, but here it is. So Tesco have put a lot of effort into leaning into the Art Deco style. There's some Tesco totems, and some of the bollards here look a bit Art Deco, and it's really cool. You can see these the lovely lamps here and these fantastic arched pillar things. I don't know what this would have been originally. It kind of looks original. Obviously when it was a factory it wouldn't have been a trolley shelter, but they've repurposed it as a trolley shelter. I don't think it's been built since. It feels a bit much to go the whole hog and do an Art Deco trolley shelter. Maybe they did, I don't know, I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure this is original. Alright, I looked into this after visiting and it turns out the truth is a lot murkier than I initially thought. See, this is the trolley shelter from above as it appears today. You can see it extending out the back of what used to be the factory. And here's what that view looked like in 1932. We can see the factory, but no shelter. Now, the factory was extended significantly in the 1940s, so I thought maybe it was installed then. But it would have been a bit extravagant and out of place to build an Art Deco structure like this in the 1940s. Especially in what looks to have been a pretty scruffy backyard, and sure enough, it's not there in these images either. Digging a bit further, I came across this website from 2016, which has a brilliant quote from Sir John Betjeman which mentions the Art Deco trolley park, but also seems to suggest that it isn't original. I then looked onto Ealing's planning portal to see if I could find any planning applications from that era. I wasn't able to find any more detail, but I did find this planning reference from the 1980s which asks for a canopy to provide a covered walkway through the car park, which definitely sounds like our Art Deco trolley shelter. At the very bottom of my rabbit hole was this post on Reddit from the project architect from when they converted the Hoover building to apartments. They said that most of the rear of the factory, the less decorative elements, were demolished when the Tesco was built. But it being the 1980s and in the midst of the postmodern era, they decided to build the Tesco in a neo-Art Deco style, and it sounds like the trolley park was part of that. And honestly, I think they did a really good job. It fooled me anyway. But I'm pretty sure this is original. So all of this, the trolley shelter, the lamps, these neo-Egyptian, or I guess neo-Egyptian stylized pilasters, the lights on top of these bollards, and even this loading bay were all built in the 1980s by Tesco, purely to respect and complement the history of this site, which I love. And this trend of building in an Art Deco style here has continued into the modern era. And then, speaking of leaning into the whole Art Deco vibe, behind me is a brand new residential building that's actually not even finished yet, and you can very much see that they've taken cues from that kind of Art Deco, streamline, modern vibe. And it's obviously been built to fit in with the other Art Deco buildings in this area, but it's still really cool. This apartment building will have 278 apartments, 35 of which will be affordable. It's due to open in 2026. The architects have clearly put a lot of effort in to ensure that this building continues the Art Deco personality of the area. So the building features these strong horizontal lines, curved corners on the balconies and other edges, as well as depth, colour and contrast in the texture of the facade. And as I said, the building isn't open yet, but this render shows how the entrance will look. It's a gorgeous modern interpretation of the Art Deco style. It is a clearly neo-Art Deco, new Art Deco, whatever building. And I think I've talked on my other videos about how we're seeing this sort of like Art Deco revival at the moment, and this building is definitely part of that. It used to be a petrol station, it used to be a Tesco petrol station, and now it's a really cool bit of Art Deco that is definitely adding to this area. So thanks for coming with me on this trip to a Tesco car park in West London. I love having this YouTube channel because it gives me an excuse to visit places like this, find out more about them and tell their story. If you want more videos like this, or if you can think of anywhere else that I might want to visit, please let me know in the comments. There's loads of little areas like this in the UK which I'd love to explore further. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.